Well, let's chat more about that and what the future holds financially for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Julie Taddeo, Associate Research Professor of British History at the University of Maryland, College Park, joins me now in studio. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So a lot of people are wondering, just how did this decision come about?
Well, I don't think it happened overnight. Of course, there's a lot of rumors, and if you look at different newspapers, you're going to get different takes on it. It does seem like that the Duchess and her husband paved the way over the last few months. So their website that they set up and their new brand that they created, where they have been putting their trademark, Royal Sussex, or I think it's Sussex Royal, on anything from pencils to bookmarks. That was about 6 months ago, so they were already starting to brand themselves in a certain way, and now I think they can take that celebrity status and use it moving forward. So I think they've been thinking about it. I know that some papers have said that the Queen was surprised that this happened all of a sudden, but given the interview that Meghan Markle gave a while ago, I think it was back in October, and she talked about the pressures and the stresses and this whole discussion about the racist bias in the media, I don't think that this is really any great surprise, even though the narrative is focusing on it as, you know, happening all of a sudden. I think it's actually been quite a ways in the making.
And we certainly saw even the statement that Prince Harry made when he did see a lot of the vitriol coming up in some of the tabloids that perhaps all was not well. And now in terms of how this is being received, not just in Britain, but also the Commonwealth states, what sort of reactions are we seeing?
Well, it varies. So, for instance, if you look at Australia, and I go on Twitter, and it's not a trending topic. It's not even trending here in the States right now on Twitter. There are bigger issues right now that people are facing, real life and death issues. In Canada, there have been informal polls asking Canadians, do we want them to come and settle here? And some people have said, yes, we need the glamour. Others have said yes, but with the caveat, of course, that they pay for their own security. Canada, I think, is probably a better place than, for instance, if they were to go and settle in LA, even though they're going to be this celebrity power couple, because the paparazzi won't hound them there. They were there on vacation right over the holidays, and they were completely left alone. That I don't think will happen anywhere else. I think Canadians are just sort of more relaxed about it. They're not obsessed royal watchers, I think, the way that Americans are.
Right.
So it's been a mixed reaction. But I've been looking all over, different places in the Commonwealth, and really, I think it's a bigger story here in the States than it is elsewhere.
Now, I also want to look at this sort of definition of being financially independent.
Right.
Obviously, it means something if you're a non-royal versus a royal. How do you see that actually panning out? Is that actually possible for them both?
Well, they have a comfortable nest egg already. Not only does she have her net worth from acting, but she'll get residuals from Suits for years into the future. Now that they have this brand, and you look at their website, they're marketing themselves as this young, attractive, progressive couple walking through the woods, and they're going to put this trademark on products. They're going to make money. They're a power couple. There's been talk that she might actually do something in the Gwyneth Paltrow line of Goop, and that has, for Gwyneth Paltrow, of course, has resulted in, I think, close to, $1 billion. So they're comfortable. He does have his inheritance, and even though he may not be getting, some of the things that they've been used to, I mean, eventually his father will die. Will he get an inheritance from his father? I would imagine his father's not going to disown him, and Charles is worth so much money. And they're in talks. I do believe, that they're in talks with Oprah. They're connected to the Obamas. They did that documentary with former President Obama.
Right.
And I think that also that was paving the way for any future projects that they'll have. She already landed a deal with Disney for voice work. So there are just so many ways that they're going to make money.
Now, I do also want to look at the impact on the rest of the royal family. Now, once you have this royal couple that can sustain themselves financially independently, does that open up the door then to British taxpayers wondering, well, what about the rest of the royal family? Why do we have to keep funding their lifestyles?
I think it was Andrew's daughter whose wedding is coming up. The public has already said, we don't want to have to pay for that. We don't want it televised. Andrew has his own issues, obviously. There is obviously concern about that, but there is also affection for the royal family. Just today I saw something on another site that's devoted to Kate, the other Duchess, and it said, Kate, the princess who never complains, which was obviously a dig at Meghan, right? They'll always sell papers. They'll always bring in tourists. I think that in general, this is not going to lead to people saying, let's abolish the monarchy. There will always be those voices. I think the media, the outlets that, of course, have always had access to the royal family, they're losing out now because now they don't get sole access. And so they are actually going to lose money, but they kind of did it to themselves anyway with the bias against Meghan Markle. But I don't see that happening, honestly.
All right, we'll certainly be watching closely. Thank you. Great to have you on. Julie Taddeo there, Associate Research Professor of British History at the University of Maryland, College Park.